And how are you going to succeed? Let's talk about succeeding in real estate as a new agent, right? There's so many things: consistency, lead generation. How do you got to generate leads? Just having conversations is how you succeed. So we're talking about different ways, more than one way to skin a cat, right? Some people say this is the only way. You see all these gurus out there, they got their own, but guys, there's so many different ways to go about it. You just need, there's no one size fits all. But one thing across the board, you got to have conversation. You got to have conversations. I'm talking about whether it's with your sphere of influence, people you know, because you never know the people you know that may be looking to buy a house. An untapped thing that I've been considering that I haven't heard of, and I'll share it because maybe somebody can go after that business, but I've been thinking about it, is apartment complexes. So if you're getting any value from this video, make sure you like and subscribe. It would help the channel grow. The algorithm is telling me that over 90% of those watching are not subscribed. So please make sure you subscribe. Thank you very much. Most people that are going to transition to become home buyers probably live in an apartment complex. Is there a way to target apartment complexes? You know, it's kind of hard now with all these new constructions coming up where there's so many security codes to get in the complex. Back in the day, you can just walk up the stairs and drop flyers around. But so are there soliciting laws stopping people from doing that? These are things I'm thinking about. But I just thought about that. If you're looking for a buyer market, won't you target where renters live? Most of them are in apartments. So that's one way. There's just so many ways to do it. There's somebody that I know that succeeded just by door knocking townhouses, and people wanted to upgrade, sell, and over time, after 44 days or so of door knocking, the ball started rolling. Some people go down the cold calling method. Others do their sphere of influence. They're very social, got a large crowd and big organizations outside of real estate. They just put the word out there and it works. There's this one lady that sold a house, and I guess it was on a reality TV show in Atlanta. They sold a house to somebody major, and then that just steamrolled. There's this one gentleman with my company, Remax, that I was watching. He was able to sell one house to an athlete. Randomly ran into an athlete, sold the house. Then in his story, it hit his mind that, wow, I can make money in this area, and he just moved to that area, and then it grew from there. Now he's like one of the top, if not the top, luxury sellers in Remax. So you got having conversations, cold calling, door knocking, so many different ways, and staying consistent is a big thing. Following up, the follow-up game has to be top. But what I really wanted to talk about is just a mindset. And all these different avenues I just listed, I know people who have succeeded in all of them, but the only thing I can see that they all have in common is a mindset. A mindset of, I'm gonna do what I put my mind to. And that comes in this field, it's a requirement. Because here's the beauty of a 9 to 5. Let's go down this road for a second. The beauty of a 9 to 5 is you have to clock in. There's your schedule. If you don't show up, there are repercussions, right? You can get fired. There's a boss breathing down your neck. Company sets goals. So a 9 to 5 helps structure somebody's life. That's why companies like people who got bachelor's degrees or college degrees, whether or not it's in this field. What a 4-year plus degree tells a company is you are somebody that can see something through. If it's in your field, good, you know about what you're talking about. But if it's not, you may get a shot because it just shows you can stick with something, right? Now let's switch that to real estate. In real estate, you have to be that accountability source. You don't have a boss. You may have a broker that may require things of you, but if they push you too hard to where you're like, look, I got into real estate so I don't have somebody breathing down my neck, you can just move to another brokerage, right? A lot of companies are always recruiting, so you're not going to be out of work unless you do something unethical and get your license taken. But barring that, you don't necessarily have a boss. You eat what you kill, right? So you are your own boss. You have to be that source to motivate yourself. And that's why I wanted to focus focus on mindset. The mindset of accountability. So if you go to work and you don't do your job, they write you up, right? And then you can even get fired. You don't show up on time, you get an attendance write-up or occurrence, right? This is now all on you to structure your life as though it's a job, that if I don't show up, there's a penalty. If I don't do what I'm saying I'm going to do, there's a penalty. Also boils down to integrity. Integrity, a wise man once told me, is what you do when nobody is watching. And to take myself out of it, I'll just say the source of where that came from for me is just working a job. Why working a job? Because I was fortunate enough to get promoted, right? To where during the shift that I work, I was the highest authority in the building with about 300 associates. They all don't work at the same time, but sometimes 50, 60, depending on the day. Even though I got bosses, they weren't there like overseeing me. The buck stopped with me during my shift. And I got an office and all these associates. So now integrity is I can just kick my feet up in this office, fall asleep, and get a free check. But then productivity is going to drop. And also, let's say somebody sees that, then you lose your job, right? Integrity, you don't get to that point in the company. If you may get there, but eventually you're going to get exposed if you don't have integrity. When you don't have a boss breathing down your neck, watching over you, but you're able to get up and go do what you're supposed to do, that's integrity. You're going to need integrity in the real estate field. We're talking about ethics. No, integrity, just self-accountability. You set yourself up and say, this is what I want to accomplish, and go about doing it. Obviously, for me, prior to me getting promoted, like I said, that came from working a job. I remember I used to tell my boss this at the time. You know, he'll have these meetings with managers. I was a junior level manager and want to grill me, and I would just kind of be honest with him. I said, with all due respect, I don't work for you, you know. Obviously, these big corporations didn't like when I say that, but I guess I didn't care. So I told him, you know, I'm a Christian, man, and I feel like whatever I do, God sees. I'm not perfect, but that's who sees me. You don't see everything I do. Half the time, you're probably in your office, you're off the floor, you're not in the building, you're doing your meetings. I have a higher power that sees everything I do, and I feel as though if I take your money and don't give you the day's work, I feel as though it's stealing, and I don't feel comfortable just stealing like that. You know what I'm saying? So I can take the coaching, but this breathing down my neck stuff doesn't really work, because honestly, I really don't work for you, you know? And over time, that person got to respect that, to where, like I said, I became at a position where I didn't have a direct supervisor looking over me or manager looking over me. That's just where the source of that came from for me. But another place, I'll share a personal story. Another place where that came from, I remember in my early 20s, maybe I was 21 or 22. I was at a community college, and I met this gentleman there. We had a couple classes together. It was just ironic. I was at Montgomery College, and for those that know, there's a shuttle that goes from one campus to the other, right? From Rockville to the Tacoma campus. And this gentleman and I were in the same class in the Rockville campus. Then we'll see ourselves ride the shuttle together and go to the Tacoma campus. So we built a relationship. We started talking, and we found out we had similar aspirations and things in common and goals. And he was working at the time at a car repair shop, right? Or I wouldn't say repair, it was like minor upkeeps on cars. And I at the time, I was working at a group home in DC, and we said, let's start this business together. But we needed money, and we were making enough at the time. I was making enough to just pay my rent and my tuition. He was living with his mom, but he was paying his own tuition, and he was paying a car note. So he was making enough to pay his tuition and his car note. So I said, how about I put in a good word for you at my job. You work at my job is super chill. You know, you just sit down there, really. It's a group home. You just make sure people don't leave the premises. You're just sitting down. So half the time you're watching TV, or you're making sure they're doing their programs. And you get me a job at where you work at, and we can then make enough money to start this business. So that's what we did. He took me to his job. I got the job. I took him to mine, and he got the job. Now we both worked the same two jobs. And he moved out of his mom's house. Like I said, I had been been living on my own for a couple years. So now we're roommates, we're working, and we sat down, we wrote down how much we need to start the business. And I was very young, I remember, and it was a 6-month period. We locked in, we saved that money, started that business. And it was like a contracting business, right? We bought the van, we bought all the equipments, and then we kicked it off. Then I got fortunate at the group home where I worked. One of the managers there owned a house in the Bowie area, right behind the Bowie Town Center. So he took me there and he became my first client. And then I went around his neighborhood. It came to a point we had like 40 clients in that Bowie area behind the Bowie Town Center. And then we started having off-brand clients, one in Silver Spring, one in Riverdale, one in Hydesville. And we were doing well for ourselves at 20 something, to the point where I quit the jobs. But I'll say this much. One day I had a job. I'm going off a little bit. But anyway, just that mentality of setting a plan together, I never knew the benefit that would have for me over time. But that's what that ended up doing for me, is now looking at anything over time. Anything. I can just think back to when I was in my early 20s. Like, remember when you and dude put a plan together and you saw it through? I say that to say there's this mindset that needs to change as a real estate agent. And it may start with working out. Wake up this week. Just set a weekly goal of I'm going to work out, or I'm going to read a book, or I'm going to watch my diet, and accomplish that, right? Just see yourself accomplishing a goal that you want to set and conquer, and do that. Once you do that, now you know what you're capable of, right? Moving forward in life, it is so strong. And even that helped me so much. And when I first got into management, they put me in an area. We went from 12 million for the end of the year to 12.3 million. So that helped me tremendously, because the person I took over from had just gotten promoted, moved the business from 10 to 11 million, or 11 to 12 million. Now we went up 300 grand. It wasn't a whole lot, but we were profitable. And then I got moved to another area, and just that mindset of I can do this helps so much. But you have to see yourself get it done the first time, to the point where now it became a gift and a curse. Wherever the store was underperforming at, I'm the guy they sent there to go put out the fire and turn it around. And it happened in different areas I went to. But that mentality of just remembering vividly my friend and I sitting down writing a plan. Now there's so much training on YouTube about that. Back then, YouTube wasn't a thing. YouTube kicked off maybe a couple years after that. So that was just, chance, God, whatever you want to call it, that allowed us to sit down and put that plan together, see it through. That has been one of the biggest factors in my life, and that mindset can help in so many different things, not only real estate, but whatever you want to put your mind to. And I think that is a very, very big goal in succeeding as a new agent. You have to develop the mindset of seeing something through, knowing in yourself that if I put my foot down, I'm going to get this done. And you may need to build that strategically over time until you get there. But whatever you do, you need to get there, because you don't have a boss. You're your own boss. And if you cannot get up and motivate yourself, you're going to fail. All right. Hope that was good. Hope you liked that. And if you got any questions, let me know. I'll be more than happy to answer any questions for you guys. Thanks for staying. Thanks for watching the video. Hope you found it informative. My contact information is in the description below. Send me a text or an email, because I'd love to help you with your real estate needs.